So last night I was talking about thinking, thought, and obviously it's a very, very, very important thing to understand in yourself, right thinking. Um, because we do it a lot, spend a lot of time thinking. Functional thinking. So right now I'm learning how to do not right now, but in the monastery. Just before I came, I was learning how to do a form of Scandinavian weaving called krokbragd. And so I read a book, I look at a YouTube presentation, I set up my loom, I look at color, I think about pattern. So that's functional thinking. And we all do that. We do that a lot. And if we didn't have that, we'd be toast. So there's that. Let's say you're a person 30 years old and you're looking for work, you just lost your job, you've got two kids, and you have a job interview. And there are 20 people applying for the job. One person will get the job. So then you get your CV together, and the week before you start thinking. But your thinking is driven by worry. And that's a different kind of thinking. Huh? Am I going to get the job? What should I wear? What kind of place is this? Gosh, I really need the job. I'm my mortgage. I can't meet my mortgage. So you're worried. And now thought is driven by not just functionality, it's driven by an emotion. And then you have the interview, and then after the interview, you actually keep thinking, did I do all right? Am I going to get the job? I shouldn't have said this. I should have worn a different outfit or, whatever. So this thinking is because it's still worry. It's still the same thinking. And obviously that kind of thinking is not helpful, but natural. Not helpful, but natural. And that's really where we try to introduce this idea of what is this mood before it goes to thought, before it goes into papancha and the whole. And if we do that, then actually the application for the job and the interview is a dharma practice. It's not just about me getting the job or being successful for us. It's actually Dhamma practice. So we say Dhamma practice is 24/7. So if you have experience of that, you are at a great advantage, aren't you? If you don't have experience of that, my gosh, then you just become the victim of all these moods. And that's why we always say, my gosh, I'm glad I got Dhamma. If I didn't have Dhamma, how would I have gotten through that tragedy, through that difficulty, through that confusion? So and that's what we're trying to do here. What is the mood of the mind? The aram in Thai, I guess. And what is it like before I think about it? Which isn't a refusal to feel. It's not repressive. It's an awakening to something deeper than thinking. That's important. If you just try to, if you have some idea that by being aware of this, it'll just vaporize. That doesn't work that way because emotions don't vaporize, they manifest. And the idea here is in the manifestation of an emotion, a habitual emotion, especially by witnessing it before you start thinking about it, you're really aware of it. And that's non-attachment. Non-attachment is being aware of it before you grasp it with the ego thinking. Non-attachment isn't. Sometimes we have an idea that non-attachment means you don't have any kind of worries. Not really. Fear is still part of your makeup if it's part of your makeup, or anger is part of just so it's the idea of kilesa or anusaya coming up. So non-attachment, for me, at least the way I use that language, is not to create the person around it, or to see the person being created as actually an object through thought. So in that sense, you can see, like, if I'm, the birth of Viradhammo now going for a job interview is thought. That's all it is. it's powerful. It's very believable, but it is thought. And then when you let go of the thinking, you're still with the emotion. And then if you're with the emotion, the habit of the emotion begins to wane or recede or have less power. The next time it comes up, because you've done it, and you're better at it, you're quicker at it, and the power of that negative emotion recedes. And then something happens which is really extraordinarily difficult, then the power of the emotion comes up again. So this is life. This is life. But at least we have got a way of working with it. Huh? And if you don't do daily life practice like this, you forget. You just get caught in the passions and worries. So it's really important to kind of keep that in how you work with these things. So right thinking, wrong thinking. Then Dharma thinking is like just a reflection on anicca, on change. Now, if I just say everything changes, or yeah, that's a kind of Buddhist tautology that we say, but that's not really reflection. So if you use anicca sanya as a thought that brings you to Dhamma, what does that mean? Well, you're in some difficult family situation, very confusing, misunderstandings. You've got to negotiate this. You bring to mind this will change. That's Dhamma thinking. It will change. You'll be patient, but that's actually very, very helpful just to say that this will change because it seems so permanent, seems so intractable, seems like it's going to go on forever, ever. Some things do seem about intractable, and like say the war in Ukraine, something like that. If you're in Ukraine, this will change. You know, I wouldn't say that to someone in Ukraine because I'd say, would you like a cup of tea or something? So some situations are obviously very, very fraught and difficult. But much of life is like you can negotiate this. So Dharma thinking, this will change. My mom, I tried to get, she wanted to read one of my books. She never got past the cover. She'd kind of read it and sleep. She said, I'm sorry, I'm too old. And then I tried to get her to the monastery too. Twice almost, but she was afraid of the journey, which was an hour and a half. And at the age of 97, you kind of want to be home, and almost got her there. But the one thing that she said in Dharma, she said, the one thing I think I've learned from this mu is that if it comes, it goes. And that was her way of understanding anicca. I thought, yeah, good on you, Mom. And that's huge. That's Dharma thinking, some misunderstanding or painful feeling, if it comes, it goes. So that's skillful thinking. But it's not just like a Buddhist, like let's say the weather is cool and you say, yeah, it will change. Well, of course it'll change. Doesn't take an arahant to figure that out. So that's silly Buddhist talk. It will change. Or there's the Buddhist put down talk. So if I'm really happy, the monk that really doesn't like me says, yeah, but it'll change. Oh, thank you. Rather than, oh, I'm happy for your happiness, he says, no, it'll change. Great. And may you be well. So that's Buddhist put down. And we can do that too. But the Dharma language is very important in that way. So you can inject into the stream of consciousness some perspective which sees life as Dharma rather than as self. So I could say before the interview, this is nervousness. Nervousness feels like this. That's right thinking. Or meine. That's Dharma thinking. Am I going to get the job or am I not going to get meine? And then I look at the fear or whatever it is. So you want to, and Thai language has a lot of, and I guess also in Singapore and Malaysia and so on, you have a lot of Dharma language, which is to be used in a way which brightens the mind. Then there's ways of using language like I like to use in terms of like seed words. So let's say like this mantra that this crazy mantra that I developed sometime about 3 years ago. I think you've all heard it. It's one that I try to sell to monks, but they don't buy it much. They think I'm a silly old man. But anyway, just to repeat it. So at some point, about 3 years ago, this thought came to mind. I love you. I've always loved you. I will always love you. And where did that come from? So I thought, okay, let's give this one a go. I find that sometimes you just get some insight come up, and that's a kind of insight which is hard to sometimes share with tough monks. I love you? What have you been drinking or smoking? But I found it really effective. And I think probably because I also, like Luangpor Viradhammo talks a lot about the inner tyrant, that inner critic who always is telling me, my inner me, it's not good, it's not good enough, you should have said this, da, 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 da. You eat too much cake, or whatever it is. It's not so strong now, but it used to be very, very strong. Luangpor Viradhammo too, he's had a lot of that inner tyrant in him. So then how do you deal with that? How do you deal with these deep, deep habits of self? Because how do you say tyrant in Thai? Inner dictator, and anyone knows what tyrant is, right? It's a bad guy. How do you deal with that? Because it's so ingrained, maybe from wherever, culture, parents, that it keeps coming up, and that's where language that kind of takes you to a completely different direction is very, very helpful. So for this inner tyrant, I guess that's where I don't even know where I was coming from, but I just started to do that. I think, okay, I'll give it a go for a few months. And these kinds of things, they're not, like if you want to dip into a mantric kind of language that affects you, you have to do it quite a bit to see what its effect is. I just started to do that. So as my mind would go to thinking, yeah, but I love you. I've always loved you. I will always love you. Yeah, you shouldn't have. Yeah, but I love you. I've always loved you. I'll always love you. But yesterday, yeah, but I love you. I've always loved you. I will always love you. And I just kept doing that. And it was really sweet that after a while, I didn't know who loved who. Really, I didn't like who was loving what. And it kind of didn't matter. So the heart was very open, very radiant. Um, so I sometimes have suggested this to others, and it's a quite, because I know some very cynical people and who are friends of the monastery. And so there's one lady, I tried it. She comes a lot, and I said, and she was in a cynical mode, and I said, have you ever thought of trying this mantra? I love you. I've always loved you. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Oh, I couldn't. No, I couldn't do that. I said, why not? Why can't you just love yourself? I said, well, I mean, that's smarmy, isn't it? And you see, her critical mind was so strong to even use the word that I love you was abhorrent. 6 months later, she tried it. So I got her. So I planted the seed. Now, it's not about, this isn't an egotistical statement. That narcissists do that. So we have a narcissist south of the border of Canada right now who probably says that every day. But it's not a Dharma statement. But for us, we're just, I think what's very important is that we learn about right thinking, but we learn to come to the open heart. That to me is tremendously refreshing and liberating, to come to the heart. So compulsive thinking and overly stimulated brain activity, which comes from work, because most work situations now require a lot of analytical thinking, and so the mind is now on a roll, and the brain gets quite tense. Don't you find that if you're thinking and you're thinking too much, you get tension here, tension there. So to actually go from here to here, to actually make a physical location, where's the heart, to me is tremendously helpful and interesting. And what I find in the heart, there's no desire. It's because the heart is the place for me of fulfillment. And how do you see that? Well, we do it all the time. You look at maybe like many, like I think Corinne and William, you FaceTime your grandkids, right? So it's a common thing. You FaceTime someone you love, and you're on the screen. You see them. Oh, hey, how are you? You're here, aren't you? You know, thinking, oh God, your hair looks terrible. Maybe that's someone else, but with your kids or with the one you love, you're here, and that's very important to develop that the capacity to feel from here. And whether it's metta or karuna or mudita or love or whatever way you want to call it, it's an opening of the heart. Now, my own mind is I like to use pictures. Most of us like pictures, so I'll use like I have photo of Luangpor Sumedho, big portrait in my room, big portrait of Luangpor Cha, and I've got a pretty good picture of my mom. I have too many Buddha rupas, and I'm just nowhere can I turn without being happy, without the heart opening. So I do that a lot. I'll just look at a picture. I look at the picture of my mom a lot every morning, a lot. I just look and and then I go to the heart. It's not that I'm homesick for mom and I want her, want her to make me a cake or something like that. It's no, that link to my mother is so very important. And it's a very quick access to love. Um, and then other pictures. So constantly stimulating that until I'm more and more conversant with, yeah, well, there's thought, but what's the heart doing? What's the heart doing? Where's the heart now? And there I find there's no desire there. Oh, yeah, I'm home again. So when we talk about our real home, I find it for me, it's a combination of the sense of open, spacious awareness, presence, and open heart. And if I have those in balance, then it doesn't seem to be necessary to do anything, go anywhere, or become anything, because there's fulfillment. So I don't know about you. Like, does that make sense? Does the open heart make sense to you? Is it something that's just accidental? It happens when it happens. Great. But is it something that can be more encouraged in a more constant way, in a more deliberate way, I would say? And is it also a space that you could begin to notice the tenseness of the thinking mind and come bound to the feeling heart? That's very, very useful, very useful. So let's take, like, for instance, let's say you had some historical incident in your life that makes you sad. So the memory of that gets triggered in your mind. Let's say someone tells you something and you remember that situation, and then that comes up into your heart, and then you start thinking sad thoughts. Huh? So it's the same as the person rehearsing before the interview. So the mood, the aramana, conditions the thinking mind, and then you start thinking sad thoughts. Oh, yeah, it's really terrible, and oh gosh, you become sad. The thinking is sad thinking, and that doesn't really liberate you; it just makes you sad. And now, if you notice that actually you're thinking sad thoughts, and you're using this whole life for Dhamma practice, oh, sad thinking, yeah. I wonder where that is down here. I wonder where sadness is down here. And then you're starting to engage sadness as an object. When you're thinking sad thoughts, you're the subject. And you just remain sad until something changes. Something changes, like something excites your mind or distracts your mind, then your mind shifts to another mood. And then if you're really unskillful, when the sadness comes up, you seek distraction. That's really unskillful. Now, I don't want that anymore. I'll not have the sadness, thank you very much. I'll watch Netflix, or I'll drink some alcohol or smoke some weed or whatever you like to do, or I'll get caught up in making things and building things. They'll have another relationship, but all times the sadness isn't known, and it's always in the background, and that's kind of dangerous. Because they're just sitting there. Whereas when you just notice, oh, this sad thinking, oh, where is it? And you've trained yourself to come here through the throat, through the heart, and you wait, you resolve that. Might take a while, but you resolve it. And then sadness is something that arises and ceases, rather than you being the sad person or the distracted person. That's even worse. That's even worse. There's nothing wrong with sadness. It's natural, loss. So if your parents died last week, one parent, and you're sitting here and you remember them and you feel sad, that'd be natural, wouldn't it? Or maybe your parents died in another country and you couldn't go there, and then you remember them and you feel guilty. Oh, I couldn't go, and you feel sad and guilty, double. But that's all right too. That's natural. So then, oh, this is sad and guilt. It's a compounded thing. And where's that in the heart? So the heart's the kind of place you can constantly just abide with and resolve these things. And then you want to actually stimulate the heart too, don't you? You want to you want to look at life in a way that opens the heart. So looking at my mom's picture, I think you all know I always talk about this. I have a shrine to my mom. I keep decorating it. I put flowers on it. I light a candle. Amr Siri lights the candle. Padipo comes and puts flowers and everyone's involved. And so my mother's probably some massive deva there at the monastery. I don't know. But that doesn't matter. What matters is the heart. So by actually referring to that, it opens my heart. So I'm proactive in opening the heart. And the more I'm proactive in opening the heart, the more the heart is open. So when it closes, hey, what's happening? I have a place. So metta bhavana. It's to make, this is why we do metta bhavana. That's why we do these practices of loving kindness. Not just as exercises in creating something, but as a remembering of the open heart. And then like mudita, I'm just blown away by the vegetation here. Have you noticed how many potted plants they've put around here? And the colors, these variegated leaves. This is like, for me in Canada, like it's all, right now it's white and gray. You have two options, white and gray. They just had, maybe I'll share this with you. They just had a soccer competition, the Canadian Premier League, which is a kind of a league. It was not so big, but so they had the finals of this championship between an Ottawa team and a Calgary team. You see this? And they had the biggest snowfall they've ever had during the game. So they had snow trucks every 20 minutes came on to clear the snow. And the goalie had his own shovel and he was shoveling the snow. That's Canada. You can understand. Anyway, the mudita quality of the mind, where, why can you see beauty? When can you see beauty? So when your heart's open. Like if I'm walking from A to B and just thinking about my knees, oh, what am I going to do, doctor? This kind of, oh, I don't want to go. Then I don't notice the vegetation. Why? Because my mind isn't thought. My mind isn't worrying. My mind is not open to beauty. But if I say, yeah, it'll be okay, relax, relax. And then I look, oh, look, green, yellow, color, orchids. And that's uplifting for the heart. It's very important to uplift the heart. And we have it here quite naturally. So with all that in mind, let's maybe do some metta bhavana, yeah? So all of you will have different ways of doing metta bhavana. I'll just do this way. If it works for you, good. If not, keep with your own way of doing it. So I use imagination, visualization, and the heart and breathing. So let's just establish awareness. Listen to sound. Let the sound come to you. Bring attention to the breathing. Feel an in-breath, feel an out-breath. Feel the breathing at the chest. Bring attention to the chest. Feel the chest rising, falling. Collect your attention around that sensation of rising, falling. So all the scattered energy of thought, distraction, bring that to the center of the chest. Rising, falling. Now feel an in-breath. Really note the in-breath. The chest feels like at the in-breath. On the in-breath, name or visualize someone who you love. So if I were to use Luangpor Viradhammo, I'd say Luangpor. On the in-breath, staying centered at the chest. So Luangpor. And on the out-breath, staying centered at the chest, may you be well. Luangpor, may you be well. Choose your own person. Calm the mind with the breath. And then open the heart with a perception of the loved one. In-breath, the perception of love. Connection, out-breath, well-wishing, may you be well. So it's like you're giving something to this person. They're here with you. You're offering them something of value. Keep the mind active by naming the person or visualizing them. Don't let your mind fall asleep. Keep the mind active with the in-breath, noticing the in-breath. Keep the mind active by stating, may you be well. Otherwise, you tend to fall asleep. So Luangpor brightens my mind. I feel it at the chest. And then I feel the out-breath, may you be well. So on each in-breath, I bring Luangpor closer to me, or more, his image is more strong, or the feeling is more strong. Luangpor, may you be well. Luangpor, may you be well. And then if you are dull and sleepy, then make the in-breath much longer. Luangpor, really open the chest. Long in-breath, welcome. May you be well. Pay a lot of attention to the end of the out-breath. That's where the mind quite often gets too passive, too dull. Luangpor, may you be well. Right to the end of the out-breath. And then make the next in-breath, fill it with this image of the one you love. Really give your time to this person. Then you can change Just to refresh the mind, bring up another person, kind of like you refresh the computer. So another image, another name, someone who it's really easy to connect to love when you think of them. It's a natural connection to loving. So, different name, in breath, feel the in breath, be active, don't fall asleep. Out breath, may you be well. So it's the same heart, the same center, the same feeling. May you be well. So I think all of you have seen different patterns. For me, the main thing is to get in touch with the center of the chest, with the heart, to keep stimulating that. I'll leave the patterning up to you. But don't let this put you to sleep. It's very pleasant, but too pleasant you fall asleep. So use the longer in-breath if you're getting dull. And for most people, they do this for a while, and then the heart feels open, consciousness feels open. But most people like to let go of thinking, let go of the particular person, and just abide as this open-hearted awareness, welcoming all things, letting go of all things, accepting all things. So the thought process are put down, you put them aside, and then there's the silence and the open heart.